Hmm. Happy Friday, guys. It is 5 a.m. on the West Coast, and I arrived from Barcelona, Spain yesterday. A little jet lagged, but I watched the latest episode of Rupaul's Drag Race, season 11, episode 9, I believe. And first, before I start, I want to give a huge shout out to all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much for choosing to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate the love and support. So I have a major transition that's happening in my life very soon, and I will be working on new content. I know I promised that like maybe 10 videos ago, new content, but I will be working on new content for the channel. So stay tuned for all of the exciting news. So let's get into this episode. The previous episode, when I was in Barcelona and I was watching the episode on Facebook Live, um, from what I saw, the lip sync between Evie and Brooklyn Heights was phenomenal. There was so much intensity in both of their performances, and RuPaul delivered a double Shantae, which I loved. So Brooklyn and Evie walk into the workroom holding hands to celebrate their joint victory. And so they're kind of like still in the moment. And Sugarcane at one point asked all of the queens, now that the competition has become more tight with less girls in the workroom, what is everyone going to do differently to remain in the competition? And so, due to editing, it looks like Silky speaks first, but I'm sure there was a little bit of dialogue um, in there before Silky actually spoke. So, and I think that the girls misunderstood what Silky was saying. Silky was saying that she's not going to do anything differently because she has already come into the competition and presented herself authentically as Silky Nutmeg Ganache. And there is nothing that she can do differently to make the judges see her in a different light. And so I think the other contestants kind of like didn't understand because they have their reservations about Silky's personality and how she tends to quote unquote suck all of the air out of the room. And based on kind of like comments that I see online, I think those that kind of like narrative that the other contestants have created about Silky has really influenced the fan base to not like Silky. And so I think I said that like episode one that their narratives are what shape the perceptions of the fan base. And I do think that Silky is such a she's a phenomenal contestant. She's really memorable. And so it's really unfortunate that they've created this narrative about her. And so fast forward, and the queens go back into the workroom, and RuPaul comes in wearing a LA Drag Con shirt, which I think it's next month. I actually really want to get tickets because in order for individuals to sit at the live taping of the finale, you have to have tickets to DragCon. So I need to get my tickets ASAP. And so Rue tells Bruno to come out with a tray of glasses from LA Eyeworks, which is a wonderful optometry and eyeglass shop on Melrose in LA. And they have their annual sale twice a year. And so it's a great place to get new eyeglasses. And so Rue selects a pair and says that the library is open. And so there are two episodes that I really, well, three episodes that I really look forward to. which is Snatch Game, the reading, or Reading is Fundamental, the Library is Open episode, and the makeover. So the makeover should be coming up soon. I'm surprised we haven't had that kind of like earlier in the season. And so I say this all the time, but one of my favorite quotes from the library being open is from season 2 when Jujubee is talking to Tyra and she says, "Girl, was your barbecue canceled? Cause your grill is fucked up." I love that is a classic. It will go down in history as one of the best reads ever. And so I thought that these queens were going to like really come for each other because they talk so much crap in the confessionals about each other. It was really weak sauce. I knew that Brooklyn was going to win just because of her tone, delivery, and her commitment to finalizing the jokes and the kind of like the punchlines with Sookie. I think if Sookie kind of like would have like taken it down a notch, that RuPaul would have actually given it to Sookie. Sometimes Sookie does get in her own way, and I wish she would get out of her head because Ru was really loving all of Sookie jokes, and she loved kind of like the kind of like what she did between her and RuPaul, and kind of like the rhyming that she was doing with her jokes. And so Brooklyn wins the reading challenge, and then because of that, Brooklyn is allowed to choose teams for the comedy skit, which is LADP, the Los Angeles Drag Patrol, which comedy skits, like acting skits, will make or break someone in the competition who you wouldn't necessarily think would be broken. And so in this challenge, Brooklyn chooses Nina as her partner, which is really smart because Nina has been known for the acting comedy skits to really kind of like shine. And then she chooses Vangie and Plastique, which was a very weird combination. She chooses Kyria and Evie, and by default, Sookie and Sugar are teammates because they weren't picked. And so, fast forward, Sookie and Sugar are first up, and of course, Fortune and Cheyenne Jackson are kind of like the police officers in this skit that they have to kind of like go to a scene of a crime. And Sookie is hilarious. I was dying with laughter. She just has such a presence on camera, and I love that you like Vangie, you root for Sookie because of her personality, but she is able to really sell you character, and I love the character development and her commitment. That's one thing that some of the contestants lacked for this particular episode was commitment. They, one, didn't know their character and they didn't know how to commit to their character. So kudos to Sookie for that. Sugar really got lost. It was like Sugar pretending to be an affluent religious woman, and she wasn't committed. The dialogue was lost, and Sookie really outshadowed her. And I believe it was Fortune during the deliberations that actually made that comment that Sookie kind of like took over the entire scene, which is good for Sookie, sucks for Sugar. Then we have Vangie in Plastique. Awful. I I was confused because based on the spoofs of Black Panther, where Plastique really shined during that episode, I was confused how she wasn't able to channel a cat because this seems to be kind of like her element. Like she's playing a cat. She's in a cat suit. She looks great, but for some odd reason, her and Vangie could not commit to their characters. It was a little all over the place. I didn't understand. They had Vangie was coming to the corner store to get milk that I guess symbolized her boyfriend, and Plastique had stolen the milk, so she was stealing the milk from Plastique as a reference to the boyfriend. So she, at one point, she pours the milk on the ground in the alleyway, and Plastique goes to like lick it up. Fortune looks so disgusted. I think all of America looked disgusted. It was really confusing. And so I really didn't understand what was going on with their story because they had no commitment. And I was really shocked with Vangie because I know that she wants this so much, but she really did not impress me or the judges. And she was so great in that the Church of Britney Spears skit. So I would have loved to see that Vangie over this alley cat Vangie. And then we have Kyria and Evie with the police are called because two girls are twerking on the corner. It was a delight to see Kyria come out of her shell and really shine during this episode. That butt is so full of plastic. Her butt makes Trinity's butt looks like Becky with no booty, because Kyria's butt, it's like a Kim Kardashian meets Amber Rose meets Nicki Minaj. There is no padding needed because it is all silicone. And this was the perfect skit for her to twerk. And I was dying when she learns out that Evie is her daughter, and she throws herself off of the bench and is like sobbing with tears while twerking. I lost it. I threw myself on the ground because that was hilarious. I love the back and forth between Kyria and Fortune. I love the connection between Kyria and Evie. However, Evie was lost in this skit, and Kyria really, I think, saved Evie, because if Evie was with anyone else, she would have easily been in the bottom. And so even though kind of like Vangie and Plastique weren't the best, there could have been moments of redemption, which was really sad. And then Nina and Brooklyn, I felt like Brooklyn was more physical comedy, which I'm not really a fan of physical comedy because dialogue is what pushes what I enjoy about comedy, not the physicality. And so Brooklyn relied more on kind of like dancing, body movement techniques, where Nina is also kind of like a physical comedy queen, but there's a connection between her facial gestures, which she is amazing with that because it really puts you into the character. You know more about the character, the way that she styles herself, which was perfect. and the way that her face moves with the with the dialogue. And so I loved Nina's character because she was committed. Her face has a mind of its own and also knows what to do with specific words. And Nina was great. I loved Nina. Brooklyn, I didn't necessarily care for. And so we have the challenge, and it's called Face Teeny, which when Monet lip sync against, who did she lip sync against? Oh, I think it was Dusty Ray Bottoms. And Rue had on that amazing futuristic eyewear and the ponytail to the left, and those beautiful, I think they were like neon blue gloves. And so it's a reference to that look where Monet did that amazing fake shablam on the floor, which is still one of my favorite performances of all time on Drag Race. And so in the workroom, all of the girls, you see them doing their makeup, and everyone looks over at Sookie, and she is just gyrating, focused on, she's in her head, basically. And I believe it's Vangie that says, "Hey, why aren't you putting on your makeup?" And Silky responds, "I'm just gonna put on a lip, that's it." And so she was like, "Well, focus on your costume." And Silky's like, "Oh, I should do that." And so she goes over to the mask that she's wearing, and basically all you see is her mouth and kind of like the tiniest corners around her eye, because it's like a full mask. And so for the outfits, Silky, I think she said that she was a mosquito, but the outfit was kind of like a black leather jacket and skirt. And I believe she had on like black stockings and black shoes. And it just looks so basic compared to everyone else. It's a look that you could kind of like buy off of the rack. And the only thing that kind of was like distinguishable about the look was the actual mask. And Michelle Visage pointed out that she had no eye makeup underneath, and so it didn't pop. Where if she would have put kind of like a little bit of gold around her eye, it really will have made that mask pop. And she needed kind of like more embellishment on the actual outfit, because it just looked so dull under the lights. One thing that I don't like about the lighting is that it will really wash out some of the contestants' outfits, and so you really can't get the look of it. From when I had to watch the previous episode on Facebook Live and I couldn't see what Sugarcane was wearing, I feel like the lighting really kind of like washed out her gown, and it looked kind of like dull under the lights. And so back to kind of like Silky's outfit, it was just a dull outfit. So there was no mistakes about that. It was awful. Sugarcane, I was really impressed with her outfit. It was very Club Kid meets Mary Poppins, and I love the graphic print of the flower was just incredible, and the mask was really beautiful. So I'm really like that Sugar is really standing out now, and she took her own advice. Or maybe she didn't give the advice, but she wanted to present something new to the judges on the runway. In the skit, not so much. On the runway, yes. Then we have Vangie. Vangie. In something that I feel like I've seen on the runway before, it almost was kind of like a cheaper version of what Detox wore for her season of All Stars, with the I think it was their latex look, where she had on like a red jumpsuit and the black paint over her forehead, and the long bone straight wig. So with Vangie, it was an ill-fitting jumpsuit, but it was ill-fitted, and she had this long black latex ponytail that was built into the hoodie. It just didn't do anything for Vangie. Vangie is tiny, and so it really needed to be more streamlined and tailored to fit her body, and it didn't fit her body as well. It almost kind of like reminded me of the really beautiful pantsuit that Linda Evangelista, aka Valentina, wore for the previous All Star season, where it was beautiful, but it didn't fit properly. So it gave me that. Plastique, boring. It looked like the outfit that she wore for, I think it was the Zodiac Challenge. It was almost the same thing, a bodysuit, like almost like a leather inspired bondage mask, and the makeup looked like the lighting was like washing out the makeup, like something looked missing from the makeup. And she didn't really give me, because she's a great makeup artist, but the makeup looked like season one of Drag Race. So I was not impressed with her at all. And then we have Evie, boring. Don't even want to talk about her. I was so let down. I thought it was ironic that Evie really went after Vangie, to tell her that the judges were reminding her that she was not progressing in terms of like what they were looking for. And she basically came out in this bodysuit with long sleeves. And so I wasn't impressed. It reminded me of kind of like the costume, the dinosaur costume that she wore for it was like the ball, where you had to kind of like do the sexy sexy Halloween costume. And Kyria, who I was really impressed with this week, she came out in this really cool nude bodysuit that had like plastic surgery. What are those called? Where someone is about to get kind of like surgery, and the surgeon makes not an incision, but a marker about to where their scalpel will go. And so whatever that's called, she had that, but there were sequin embellishments, and it looked like red threading almost. And so it's something that we definitely have seen on the runway, but it was such a unique interpretation of what it is. It was very kind of like Raja when she had just the face and the bandage around her head, and she injected like some type of solution into her lips, and it made them kind of like plump up. It reminded me of that look. And so in the Nina and Evie are safe, which they were really lucky. And the tops and bottoms are Sookie, Brooklyn, Sugar, Vangie, and Plastique. Kyria wins the Maxi challenge for the week, which I was so happy for her. She really needed this win. And so I hope that she continues to shine next week. In the bottom, of course, we have Vangie and Plastique. And one of my favorite moments of this episode was the song that they had to perform to, Hood Boy by Fantasia, which is one of my all-time favorite Fantasia songs. When that song played, I was like, okay, I want to see what Plastique brings. Because I knew that Vangie was going to bring it, but I was like, let me see. And the editors are so shady. So before the episode started, Plastique was saying, "Oh, I hate that I am going to send Vangie home because I'm going to stay forever. I am not leaving." Whenever you hear that, you know that you know that that person is going to go home. It reminds me of what's her name, Calorie Kardashian, when she had to lip sync against Eureka, and she was like, "I hate that I'm going to send her home, but I got to do it." And Calorie was sent packing. Vangie was um, magical in that performance. She pulled out some moves that I have not. I like searching for Vangie performances on YouTube. I saw her once perform with her drag mother, Alexis Mateo, at Showgirls in West Hollywood, and they were phenomenal. She was wonderful. She gave me that hood girl who should perform on stage and do it the way they do it in Dade County. Do it in the way they do it in Tampa. Plastique was giving me some. Plastique was okay, but she was taking a more kind of like traditional pageant way of interpreting the song. The song isn't giving that. The song is a hood anthem, so you have to perform the way that they would in the hood. So because of that, Rue tells Vangie to Shantae, and Plastique is sent home, unfortunately. I was really shocked. I thought that she was going to go all the way to the top four. So this was really shocking. And when I reference kind of like the comedy challenges, acting challenges, they can really break a contestant and make you, rethink who is going to be the top four. So this is one of those episodes for me. So this is the end of the review, guys. I hope that you guys are going to have an amazing weekend. I would love to hear your thoughts about who do you think that Plastique should have stayed? Do you think Vangie should have went home? What did you think about the acting challenges? Who were your favorites? And who are you rooting for now in the top four? Plastique has left, and so I thought that she was going to be top four. And so I'm curious who you guys think are going to be in the top four. So have a wonderful day, guys, and really make the best of your weekend. So, besos. Love you all. Bye.